Welcome to the Unapologetic Podcast with Kaitlyn hosted by LadyBoss. This is the space where women rise, own their power, and stop playing small. We get real, we get raw, and we get fired up about confidence, health, business, and life. If you're ready to step into who God made you to be and unapologetically live your best life, then girl, you are in the right place. Let's do this.
This is what unapologetic looks like.
This is my era. I'm walking boldly in my purpose. I'm done dimming my light.
I'm done playing small. God didn't create me to blend in. I'm not for everyone, and that's okay. The old me was surviving. The new me is free.
We rise together.
Here's to living life unapologetically. Hey ladies, and welcome back to Unapologetic, the show where we break rules, ditch the masks, and talk real life, real business, real freedom, fire-fueled lives. And today, buckle up ladies, because I am sitting down with a woman who embodies that and so much more. Miss Keisha Leilani. She's a powerhouse identity-led business coach, a visionary mentor who helps ambitious women build magnetic brands, aligned audiences, and generational wealth. But her story isn't one of overnight success. It's one of breaking, rebuilding, and rising into the purpose and leading with full authenticity. So if you've ever wondered how to stay in alignment while building your brand and staying true to you, or how to stop chasing validation and actually own your own truth, own your path, this episode is for you. Keisha, I'm so excited to have you here with us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing so good. How are you?
Doing great. It's been so long since I've seen you face to face. I mean, I guess it's still Zoom kind of face to face, but seeing you in February in Vegas in person was just incredible. And it's been way too long.
It has been way too long. We need to make it happen again.
Yes, we do.
It's been almost a year. Oh my goodness.
It has. I might even need to sneak my way out to California in March, maybe, and
maybe soon before the new year, after, to start your new year in Cali.
Yes, right? Ooh, that'd be really soon. I'll have to see what we can do.
Make it happen.
Yes. So, Keisha, I know a bit about your story, but I know a lot of our audience has no idea who you are or why Kaitlyn, I have you here on the show. And there's a reason. There's a reason why every person who comes on the Unapologetic podcast is here, because we're women living lives unapologetically, and that looks different for all of us. And so for anyone who hasn't met you, I would love if you could take us back to the beginning of Keisha and what led you to start your entrepreneurial journey and the path that you're on now.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite the story. So I'll try to keep it, good length. But I started my entrepreneurial journey back when I was young. I lived in a very broken home with abuse and alcohol and drugs. And I always felt like I was different. And living in that home, I also felt lost. I felt lost. I felt different. And I also felt like I didn't belong. And so I do recall my mom really pushing me to be in the military and that I couldn't be successful unless I joined the military. Well, that was not something that I wanted to do. It was something that she was, I guess, trying to force on me or get me to do because that's what she wanted. And I did think that, oh gosh, I won't be able to have a house or pay my bills, or I got this, new idea or brainwash into my head that that's how life should be, is go do the military and you'll be fine. I don't know at what point I woke up and I was like, no, that's not my life. I did do a cadet program for a year for the Air Force and I did not like it, but I think I was doing it to please my mom and receive that love from her that I wasn't receiving at home. And I remember my sister saying, if you're not doing it for you, then don't do it. If you're doing it to make mom happy, it's not going to work. And that was the best advice she ever gave me. And I remember just being like, I had all these ideas and I used to have a black book and I would write them in this black book of just making stuff, products, and how I could help people and how I could serve. And I literally, since I was 16, have thought that way. And so when I got out, I moved out when I was 16, and I remember just being like the world's my oyster. Like I literally can now do whatever I want.
I'm sorry, I have to stop you. Did you just say you moved out when you were 16?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
16, parents trying to figure out the world. I did have a big sister from the program, Big Brother, Big Sister. So she was a hero for me and my role model. So I didn't fall into the party life, the drugs, the drinking, like, my mom was, but instead I had a path to take that was church and, good and blessings, and just had a different path that I felt more aligned with than my broken home. And so when I started going to college, and working, I just never felt like a job was for me. So I always, and I don't know if I've shared this with you before, but whenever I did a lot of bartending and serving and cocktail serving, and I would naturally collect business cards as a bartender and a server, and I would email them the next day, every single one of them. So I would build a relationship with them, something I've always lived by is your relationships are your revenue. And I truly believe that because being out at 16 and trying to figure out the world, they were my revenue, not like transactional money wise, but they were people that helped me through my life and gave me opportunities because I didn't have mom and dad to guide me. Right. I had these, I call them angels that were there kind of guiding me just by me meeting them. And so that is how I've really started my entrepreneurial journey is collecting business cards, building relationships with people, getting to know them on a deeper level and their story by sharing my own story. I was never, I don't know how I developed this early on, but I didn't live in the victim mentality to be like, woe is me, I've gone through all this stuff. Instead, I used it as inspiration to try to empower and motivate people that if I can go through really hard things, so can you, and you can go live out your goals and dreams and be successful. So it's
That is a lot. And I say that because for those of you listening, I had the pleasure of meeting Keisha back in February in Vegas. We hit it off instantly. And so like a lot of the story that she just shared, this is the first time I've heard it as well. And I had goosebumps because like I myself come from drug alcohol family. I moved out when I was 16. I was told I was never good enough. I felt like the black sheep of my family, and to this day still do, but that's okay. That's who I am. And I've never really looked at it as woe is me. It's like, no, I'm going to strive to be better and do better and share that with others. And oh my goodness, you are so my person. I already knew you were, but like,
and then it's crazy how like just naturally God connected us at the right time, the right and I totally believe that because where I'm at in like my life and my journey I have been, it's like women supporting women and empowering them and not competing with them and like collaborating like this, where your story is much like mine, but there's also parts of your story that move people differently than mine in a way where they can see if Kaitlyn can do it, I can do it, or if Keisha can do it, I can do it. And it gives them that little bit of hope. And I think that people lose hope along the way in their goals and their dreams and their relationships. And I'm like, I want to give them that little bit of hope that if I can say, share my story, little parts of it with them, and they're like, wow, she's gone through a lot, but she's still actually like pushing through. She's resilient.
so powerful. Can you tell me about a time throughout your journey, which one sticks out the most where you just felt like everything was falling apart, but you ended up breaking, it ended up being like a breakthrough that you didn't know you needed? Because I don't know about you, like while I've never looked at it as woe is me, like there's been times where it's like, okay, how do I get back up? Because it's just bam, 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 right? But then you look back and it's like, okay, I needed that and here's why. Like, can you share one of the stories with us?
Yes, and this is a more recent story. I'm limited on things that I can say, but I will say it was a very David and Goliath story. For any of the audience that is into the Bible and how that is, basically I was in a network marketing company as a top producer, and we went through some really hard, challenging legal battle. And I remember thinking, like, there's no way I can get through this. In fact, I never had anxiety or any of that in my life before until that situation. And, I was losing a lot of weight. I was really stressed out about it. And there was a moment I had to sit with myself and God and get on my knees and literally just say, take it all away. the lifestyle that we lived was pretty lavish, I guess the word would be. And so when things changed financially for us, basically overnight, it was like, what just happened? Like, how do we get out of this mess? We had high expenses. We had a life that most, I would say, we would dream to have. Looking back at that now, I now see that that was the journey and story I needed to go through, but in it, it felt like my world was ending. I really felt like I was alone. I will say at the end of it, like careful. At the end of it, we had success through the legal battle, and I remember going to that situation and feeling like, listen, just take the wheel. I don't care, take all of it. I just want to have peace, and I want to be free from, I felt like chains that were holding me back, that I wasn't able to be my authentic self. I had to live under or perform under someone else's way, and it was not an authentic way. It felt not right, and I knew in my heart. So when we faced that. We basically put prayers on it and scripture everywhere. And I said, take it. And then recently we just found out that we won. Yeah.
Yes.
So, and it wasn't, about the financial. It was like, hey, I want to do the right thing. And we want to take a stand and do what's right and show everybody that knows the story that you too can go through this hard thing, but do what's right and do it to the point where it's not jeopardizing your family and or other people along the way. It's almost like you're sticking up for what's right, but with the people that you had been leading for that many years. And it's come from that. Like we've had top producers reach out to us asking us, what did you do? How did you do it? We went up against with no attorney. I would say AI helped us with the whole thing pretty much.
Thank goodness for AI.
But yeah, I would say during all of that, it's what launched my coaching business. And I was talking with a friend yesterday about, I'm like, how was I going through one of the worst times in my life and like literally launched a business and it took off? And we talked about it, it's because my back was against the wall. Like I had no other choice but to figure it out. There was no comfort of financial backing or something else because it happened overnight. So I had to go learn new skills and apply the skills I've already had in leadership and building teams and marketing and social media. And I had to like take all of that and go create it and go teach other people to do the same thing. And I remember thinking, what if this doesn't work out? Like, what if, right? I
Yeah.
actually have there, what if it
I
all
have
works?
it in my notes. I love your sign. Like that is
Yeah. And so I think words have power. So instead of like saying, what if it doesn't work out? What if it actually works out? What if this was a lesson I had to take and learn from to then be a mentor or a coach or somebody that could be like, I already walked that walk and here's what I would do if I were you in a legal situation or in something that I had faced like that. And it's really given me, that's my power, right? That's my those experiences and that journey, which you don't feel at the time, is actually what gives you the ability to go be a better coach, to be a better, teacher or guide or mentor to people. And I think people forget that. So I tried to focus on that more than focusing on this is terrible. I need to get I need to get back to my groove. So I took that energy and applied it to my coaching business. And it was the best thing I could have done. And that gave me positive energy to focus on because I was in negative energy. So how do you, it's like, a battery. Like, how do you, you don't want to live there because if you live there, you're just going to, it's a domino effect. It's a hamster wheel. It's like going to stay there. So how do you take that energy and apply it to something where you can get your confidence back and your certainty and your belief in yourself and know that you do have something to offer to the world? And so that would be my advice for the audience here is like whenever you're going through a challenge or a tribulation, is I believe your tribulations are your biggest triumphs. Your mess is your message, right? And I think, and your test is your testimony. I say it all the time. Like people don't realize that if you take that and you share it and are authentic and apologetically you, then people are drawn to that. They're drawn to, wow, if she can do it, I can do it. Or wow, like that's a crazy story. Like I wanna learn all the things she did to be able to get out on the other side.
I love that. For all of you listening, the sign that's behind Keisha, it's lit up in bright Lady Boss pink. I love it. It says, "What if it all works out?"
Yeah.
I I was actually just talking to one of my mentors yesterday as well. I mean, we were kind of had a similar conversation. And you mentioned the voice that's like, what if you can't do it? What if I fail? What if it doesn't work out? And we were talking, I was like, well, that's your ego. Your ego wants all these big fancy things, but it's also the first and the loudest to say, like, yeah, right. But purpose is that voice and that connection to your soul inside of you that like, but what you're doing is bigger than you. Right. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I love the way it was put. And like, even the way you explain is like, yeah, there's that voice there. But when you get to that purpose and that why that drives you forward, you connect with that faith, like that is so much more powerful and becomes louder than that ego voice you hear. Would you agree
So
with that?
yeah, it's your driving force that you said it perfectly. That gives you the purpose. And I believe that us as humans have been created to have purpose. And every time I talk to people, clients, or just generally having conversations, everyone wants to help people. So when you actually step into helping people with your gifts, right? Your God gifts, then that is what gives you the purpose to do what we do or what they would do. And it doesn't even feel like work. It just is there because you can't, it's in your soul. Like it just like, is part of who you are.
Yes. I love that so much. It truly is. My word of the year for 2025, ironically enough, because it's come up so many times. It's like that. It's like, Lord, I hear you because it has come up so much this year where I'm like, coincidence? I think not.
Yeah.
My word of 2025 is purpose. To live in God's purpose for me. And
Yeah.
so I know purpose is kind of a very general word, but like more than any ever in my entire life has purpose has never stood out more than it has this year. It's been
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's been so amazing. I got to read my notes because I've got like all the things. I want to go back to that moment where you said you had to get down on your knees and say, take it all away. I myself had a moment like that in the last 5 years. And I want to dive into your faith if that's okay a little bit. Was it that moment where like you just felt like everything was falling apart and that you had no control, that you had to have that moment of take it all away? I don't know. What did that
Yeah.
do? Faith in that moment? Like, what did it do? Where are you at now because of it?
Minute. It may, I've been in and out, I would say, not with my faith, but just like the walk of it. I was saved in 2012 in San Diego, and I was very involved with the church, volunteering and very big on it. And then entrepreneurial life happened, right? And you get busy and then you like push it aside when actually I should have been leaning in more. And, I say that like, I know we still go to church and I still contribute and give as much as I can, but not the level I was when I was saved. And when that happened, it just reminded me like, no, and you hear it all the time, like more money, more problems, right? Or no money, no things, material stuff will ever fully make you happy. Listen, I live the jet life. I live the multi-million dollar homes. I live the watches, like all of that. And when that is stripped from you in a way where you're like, for what, why were we doing it, right? A lot of it is ego. A lot of it is driven for the wrong reasons. And so when you align yourself, and my business is all about alignment and leading with that as your soul, as like you're just like in your soul, then you're now being able to live that authentic life, the unapologetic life without trying to be showy or someone that you're not, or like, you know, and for me, I would say I got caught up in it, but I didn't at the same time. Like I enjoyed it, but it was more of my significant partner. And I would have conversations about that because I never wanted to be that person that was that person, showy and whatever, showy. And so, long story short, I basically, when that moment happened, I think you can feel it in your body, just be like, this is exactly what life is. This is what it is. Life isn't about the cars or the followers on Instagram or the celebrity status or the things that I think media has made us think we have to be in order to be happy. And in fact, I was very unhappy. I lost my identity through that. Lost like who am I? What am I even like good at anymore? In that situation, having a high performer and me being a high performer at the same time, I was more shelled and more I guess I couldn't celebrate my successes in that relationship because I wasn't in alignment with my faith and I wasn't in alignment with what God created me to be and to put out there. And yes, was I in alignment helping people? Sure, but it was under rules and regulations and somebody else's model, somebody else's vision. And so the minute I stepped and I look at like this journey and I'm like, all along, I was intentionally shedding layers of things that were not feeling right in my heart and soul. Like, my relationship and the business that I was in, and all these things had to go because I wasn't aligned with my faith, which I had been for a very long time and just kind of got lost in that world, right?
Yeah. Yep. It's so easy to do. That is so powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, it's a learning curve, and I think when you go through moments like that, there's that little bit of ness where it's like, can I do it again? Do I want to do it again? Like, what would I do different? What would I do the same? And who do I want in my corner to bring on that journey with me, which is very important too, because the ones I was choosing or that were around before were actually like that growth and that potential in alignment with my faith. And so
And I
go ahead.
bet things hit the fan, they weren't there.
Exactly. And you hear that all the time. Everyone disappeared, right? And you're like, well, definitely feel like I'm an island and alone out here, but it really opens your eyes to see, okay, like, and listen, this is entrepreneurship. It doesn't matter like my story. Every entrepreneur goes through really hard times of success and failure, success and failure. And it's like
Entrepreneurial whiplash.
totally is like total whiplash. And I think now having the mindset and the understanding of the nervous system and why the whys behind it. Like I used to be so reactive in my past businesses when they didn't work out and I would feel like a failure. Now I look at failure different as a learning lesson and an opportunity for me to actually oh, like I was supposed to fail and that's now I'm doing this or I'm teaching this or I had the wisdom to be able to be a mentor to somebody so they don't have to walk through what I walk through.
I love that. Failure is learning. I always say like progress is perfection. And another tie into that is winning. Like failure is actually winning. You didn't fail. You're winning because you're learning, you're growing, you're
Yeah.
on path.
Yeah. I mean, I have had so many conversations recently about people that are older than me that have had something in their life. Typically, it's when they're a child where their mom and dad said they couldn't be successful and or their dad or mom were successful and, you know, it went away. So then it scares them to go be an entrepreneur. In fact, this one particular person told me that and he was like, I he's working the 9 to 5 and hates that, wants to be an entrepreneur, but it is carrying the weight of whatever story he saw or went through with his dad as a young boy. And he now is not, I mean, he's older, so he's not carrying out his dreams and potential because of that one thing that happened. And I'm like, that's it. That's why you need to do it. Like you need to tell that story. You need to like dive into that and not be like, "Oh, I went through that and let it hold you back." You actually need to use that as your fuel to go and you say you want to help people, use that as your fuel to go actually help people. And that story like I was sharing earlier is the most powerful thing that can actually get you unstuck and live out your God-given potential and your dreams.
And that story right there with the gentleman you were working with, I say that one of the biggest disservices we can do to our kids is not live true, not lead by example. We tell our kids all the time that they can do or be whatever they want. And then on the flip side, we're too scared to go do it. So how do we expect to raise humans that can believe they can do whatever they desire, but we're too scared to do it?
Yeah.
That puts that, like you just said, that puts that fear right into them.
It does. It makes me wonder, like, there's so many programs for this type of stuff, but it is really the traumas that we've all experienced. So how do you use those traumas as fuel? Like I said, your test as your testimony and be like, and look at it as in a positive way instead of a negative way and say, yeah, that sucked and that was really hard. But at the same time, that is when your resistance is your power, you literally step through that and you lean onto that as your fuel and the ability to go and help more people, which if that's what most of us want to do is help more people, then you have to do the uncomfortable things and live a different way than what everybody else in the world is living, which is the, typical 9 to 5, have vacation once a year. Like entrepreneurship to me is very, I don't know how to not be an entrepreneur. I can't have a job. Like it's not for me.
That's the fear right there. It's going back to the 9 to 5.
Yeah. And so, once you get yourself out of that life, you realize that life, there's so much out there for freedom and flexibility and like truly living the way that everyone has these dreams to live. But we get caught up in like security and this
And
security blanket to make sure we're good. And instead of leaning on ourselves as security and trusting in ourselves that we are the security and we will do whatever it takes to make sure our families are good financially, emotionally, and even physically, all the things. So, and spiritually.
yes, I love it. And it's when you're in those moments.
Yeah, it really is.
So you mentioned earlier talking about being in alignment. That's a big part of what you do now in your business. So what does alignment actually mean to you and what does it look like when you're in alignment?
It's a feeling. It's like, when you, I don't know, go to church and you walk in and you just feel like these are my people. People get me. I feel like I can say or, say or pray, whatever. And I'm going to get that feeling that feels good, like that feel good feeling.
Probably inside that's like the spark.
Yeah, because when you go through really hard stuff, if you don't have a support system or if you don't have a place to like an outlet that's a safe place to be able to like conversate that, I feel like that's where it kind of you get in your own head and you get in your own way and you start doubting yourself and you lack the confidence. And now you're in the cycle of being still or stuck and not actually doing what God's calling you to go do because you're not having the right support and you're not doing the work to make sure you can get there. Right. And so it is a hamster wheel for a lot of people. So alignment to me is really truly living out that feeling that you feel when you're maybe launching a program or starting a business or doing a podcast. Like you're being called, you hear the birdie in your ears, like, you really need to do that you're feeling called, you're good on camera, or you're good talking about this topic or training or teaching on this. But then you have another birdie in your ear saying, yeah, but what are people going to think of me? Like, what if I mess up? Or what if I, judging how they look? So then they end up being in a standstill for years, pretty much their whole life. Right. And I'm talking about this particular person because I'm like, wow, like, you you've been wanting to be an entrepreneur and do all these things for literally half of your life, and the one thing that happened that was traumatizing to you is the one thing that's actually holding you back from being that. And I just get so fascinated. So that alignment to me is like really stepping into, like, I'm really starting to publicly talk about my faith. I've always been faithful. I've always gone to church. I've not always, but since I got saved. And I really, why was I doing that? Like, I should be louder about that because that's part of who I am. That's an alignment. Right. And bringing that into my programs and bringing that into the world and realizing that that is a big part of why I believe I've had success. It was not just given to me. It was because I had those angels and I had faith along the way that whatever positive or negative happened, there was something in me that had faith that it will all work out. It'll all
Yes.
work out no matter what. And that's in relationships, that's in business, that's in finances, that's in with your kids, that's in with your fitness. It's all of it. Is like, what if it all worked out? And what if the one thing you went through was the hardest thing you went through, but then it all worked out in the end? Can't see it when you're going through it.
It's really hard to see when you're in the tunnel.
Yeah. Yeah.
I keep You mentioned having verses all over and just as reminders. I keep one right here on my desk, John 14:1. Don't let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God. And it's just that reminder of just exactly what you said is like, no matter where you're at or what you're going through, like quiet that birdie that's telling you you can't.
Yeah.
You're on trust in God. He's got you. Don't let that trouble, that worry.
Yeah. And I think it's important to have that stuff around because there is something that your brain does when you see things like that, whether it's like writing the lipstick on your mirror of like, I look beautiful today. Because if you're telling yourself, I'm fat or I don't like my face or all these negative things, then it becomes your reality. You believe it. You believe that. And so if you literally change it to be the opposite of having scripture, having people in your corner that are positive. So when you are going through a hard time, you can like talk it out and they're not, it's not an anchor. It's like, oh, I'm going through this, like, and I'm sharing it almost as a outlet, like to not vent, but kind of like an outlet to get it out of my system, but also, you know what, that was something I needed to go through. So that is so important to have scripture or quotes or sticky notes around your house. And I would encourage and challenge any of the listeners to do that and think about three things that you're thinking right now on this call of what you tell yourself that are negative and write it on a sticky note and go put it on your fridge or put it on your mirror, wherever you're going to see it throughout the house all the time and put positive on there. I am beautiful. I am successful. I will make, and you can be very specific, right? Like if you're like, I could never make more than 5K a month, or you're used to making 3K a month, or whatever the money dollar amount is. If you put it out there, then it starts to become your reality and you start to believe it. And then your consciousness is like, starts doing the action to make it happen. So if you feel like you need to lose weight and you're seeing all these things that are about weight that are positive around your house, it's going to give you this natural high to be like, I'm going to jump on my Peloton today because I saw that positive sticky that reminded me of who I am in a positive way. So
Mhm.
I love that you have those scriptures and things around you because it matters.
They're so important. They are all over all the things. And like, there's a reason they work magic. Like I tell my audience all the time, like, write the quote, write the affirmation, put it everywhere. Because it is amazing what it does, how it helps you get up, how it helps you stay centered and in that alignment.
Yeah.
How do we stop showing up for approval? You mentioned earlier, instant gratification world. How do we stop showing up for approval and start showing up with purpose?
I think going back to the alignment part, like really leaning into like your gifts and your skills and the things that you have, no one else knows you have. And that might be some soul searching where you write it down. Like I always have my clients write a list of what are their passions and what are their skills. In between the two of them, you really start to realize it's from like when you were young. Like we're not talking like the last 2, 5, 7 years. We're talking what do people know you as? What do people know you for? What do they like? Do they get a feeling when they're around you? Like maybe she's a connector, or maybe she's, somebody that you can talk to and she's always positive. Maybe whatever that is, like it doesn't have to be like a tangible thing. Like, oh, I'm good at social media, or oh, I'm good at marketing or Google spreadsheets. Like, no, what are things that people ask your audience that or your friends that? Like, what do you know me as? Like, what is one thing that makes you, you know, feel like alive when I'm around you? And they'll tell you. And then it. It's just sometimes it's good to hear it from other people. But I would say like that right there is that alignment piece goes with all of that because if you don't have that alignment, how do you live out your purpose? You're living for either someone else or something else, and then that eventually catches up to you or you get burnt out and you're now back to rebuilding or like me, like rebuilding and realizing like do it different this time, right? Because of that. Did I answer that? I'm like,
You
did I?
did, that was beautiful. Like, thank you for sharing that because so often, I mean, we're constantly living for that approval, right? And have all the fears and all the things. And I love the perspective of asking questions because I know I preach and you preach about like you don't need the approval of others because you don't. But when you're able to ask, your spouse, your close friends, your kids, your parents, questions like that, they call you kind of out on your crap. Like, what am I good at? Well, you're really good at singing. No, I'm not. I suck at singing. What are you talking about? But it's that no, like you really are. You might not believe it, but I see it in you. You've got a caring heart. Well, I feel like my heart's not caring enough and I can never do enough and I'm always failing. But they see it. And so it helps you shift that in your mind of like, wait, this perception of those that do matter to me, that love, like this is what they're seeing, even when I might feel like I'm not successful in it or I'm failing at it or just can't blind to it and just fully can't see it. Like asking them those questions can be so, so powerful.
Yeah. And I think too, like, typically why we feel that way or, think that about ourselves is something happened in our past that limited us from that. And so then and sometimes you can't even pinpoint it, but something or someone, it like literally stung and that stinger has stayed with you all the way till we're, in our mom days or, older days. And I just think that if you can pinpoint and you don't have to figure out which moment that was, but if you can pinpoint and are aware of like, I'm doing this because something happened in my past that I now need to work through to be able to unlock that next level of success or unlock that next, growth opportunity for yourself, whether it's spiritual or mindset or in your business. And I think that that's what I'm really leaning into for 2026 for my business is like understanding the type of entrepreneur that's coming to me with that type of attachment or insecurities or avoidance or anxiousness that maybe has been there their whole life. And that's why their entrepreneurial journey hasn't been able to be successful. And it hit me recently, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh," like, people are operating typically their nervous system is either very in the red or not. So how do we get them to a place to feel confident enough to say, "I am worthy enough to do this," or "I am successful even though, someone told me I couldn't be or I'm not." That is to me is like understanding the nervous system, the subconscious, and understanding that that is the deeper work that people I believe need to do in order to really unleash their full potential and do it in a way where it's aligned.
I was about to ask you what true freedom means to you. And I feel like you just said it. Like that is freedom. Like when you're finally in alignment and you have that connection and you're able to like pinpoint the voices that you need to shut down and you have almost more control of the thoughts going on in the birdies and the subconscious
Yeah.
and the nervous system. That's
Yeah.
freedom.
It is. It is. Like, and take my advice. I've lived the high life. Like, take my advice because even in those moments, sure, I had freedom to travel. I had freedom to buy whatever groceries I wanted. I had freedom to do all that stuff. And as much as that was also great, there comes a price. There came a price because I wasn't in alignment. I was doing things or in situations that didn't feel who I was in my soul and didn't feel right with my faith and all the alignment. Honestly, that word it's
So
huge.
perfect. So perfect. Have you decided on your word? Do you do words of the year?
I
Do you pick a
do.
word?
Yeah, my word for this year is peace. I was like making all the decisions to create more peace in my life. And getting rid of some people, getting rid of some, lingering things like just and so this, I don't know if I've actually thought about it. I like yours. Purpose is good. I I think for me, um, consistency, it's something I talk a lot about with my clients and being consistent with my health and my nutrition, being consistent with, you know, being more on podcasts and being consistent in my business and being consistent with how I show up as a mom and being consistent with taking care of myself, right? And finding that like, I don't wanna ever get to a place because 'cause I've got to a place where you work so much where it's like, "What am I even doing this for?" Like, I'm missing out on bedtime with my kids. This is in my network marketing business, and I'm like, "Wait, like, what am I doing?" The reason why I'm doing what I'm doing is to have more time with my kids, but I was actually doing the opposite. And
Yes.
so to me, it's like making sure that I'm consistent in my schedule and have that workflow to where I still can show up for my kids the way I need to show up and show them like I'm a mom, but I'm also a boss babe, and they both can work in syncly. I don't believe in the word balance necessarily, but I believe that you yeah, I believe that you can really, if you are disciplined enough and structured enough, like, it can really be a magical thing. So I do teach that too to my clients, is like, how do we map it out what works for you on your schedule? Like, with I homeschool, so it's a little, of a balancing act of business and homeschool, but yeah, consistency, I would say.
Balance, I love consistency and balancing act. I always say, like, it is a balancing act, don't get me wrong, but work life balance is a joke because it's not. Like, you, especially in entrepreneurship, like, you really have to find, again, that alignment, that mind, body, soul. Like, what can you give and where and feel
Right.
good and recharged and not burnt out and
Yeah.
consistent where you need to be consistent.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you're operating on burnout, like, that's a doomed business, that's a doomed dynamic in your household, that's a doomed relationships with your friends, like, it just doesn't work, and so I've told myself when I did start my coaching business, I would never do that again. So making sure I am disciplined enough to put a schedule in place. Here's what I do know about human beings: we thrive off structure and schedules just like our kids do. We
Mhm.
do.
Yep.
So if you're not, then you're, like, dropping the ball and things are, and then now you're feeling like a failure, and, like, that's not internally how you are, and, like, so it's like, for 2026, if I can give any of you guys advice, like, get a calendar, do it on your phone, like, schedule it out quarterly. If you're gonna launch stuff, you're gonna start a business, put a date on it, hold yourself accountable, like, make sure it happens, and just be true. Like, that commitment's everything. Your word is everything. So your word is everything to yourself too.
Yep. And if you let yourself down, that's how you show up in the world, right? Like, so make that commitment to yourself because if you can make a commitment to yourself and keep it, that's how you'll show up for those
Yeah.
around you, you know?
True. Very true.
All right, Keisha, I have some rapid questions for you. Are you ready for them? They're all over the place.
Yes.
All right. What is your favorite quote you live by?
Oh, goodness. Yes, you do. I don't know if it's a quote, but I daily mind over matter. Like, I really believe that, yeah, like, I say it to myself all the time, mind over matter. And I always say it could always be worse. So in times of struggle, and so because I had a lot of struggle, previously, I had to rewire my brain to think differently about what I was going through. And that really, for me, energetically helped keep me in a beautiful state. It kept me in a positive state. So I would say, like, mind over matter, and yeah,
Be
just the weather
worse.
said,
It can always be worse.
it could always be worse.
Love it. What is your favorite guilty pleasure?
Gift of pleasure or guilty pleasure?
Guilty pleasure.
What context? Chocolate?
Or any chocolate would work.
Love chocolate. Yeah, I would say chocolate when it comes to food.
Chocolate's a good one. What is one book that you would say changed your life?
Never eat alone.
Never eat alone? Okay. Love it.
And basically, the contents of it is basically everywhere you go. I was just talking about this last night. Everywhere you go, find an opportunity to talk to someone. So if I go to the gym, I look at people on the treadmill and I pick someone to go on the treadmill with, and I find a way to ice break that conversation. I'm not like, "Oh, hi, I'm Keisha," because that's just, I don't know, not a normal way to meet somebody. So I might comment on their shoes. I might, you know, say something, some kind of icebreaker that will help me create a conversation. And, like, by the end of it, I'm getting their phone number. Last night it happened. And there were these 3 girls that came and sat. I went to dinner, and they came and sat down, and internally, I already know I'm thinking about that book, Never Eat Alone. Like, I'm gonna spark up a conversation, so I did, and then I was on a date, and I had told him, I was like, "Watch, I'll get her number by the time we leave," and he was just watching me just be me, like, my networking self, but I don't know how to be different, right? Like, I have no motive behind that. Like, I'm not trying to sell her anything. I'm not trying to get her in my business. Like, I truly, genuinely look at it as another connection and relationship that could be a good friendship. It could be a partnership. It could be she has resources, or I have resources for her. Like, it's always like this, like, what can I do for her? And is there an opportunity where we could do something together? It's pretty powerful.
I love that. I'm gonna have to check that out. Never eat alone, especially in the world we're in today, where everyone's on their phones and face on the like we're on social media nonstop. Everywhere you look, you go to dinner with your family, everyone's on their phones. Try to ixnay that people. So to have that thought process of always trying to spark a conversation, like I not only does it do so much good for the networking and the relationships you can build, but also to help the world we're in today be a more positive, light place because we have put ourselves in these boxes and these hobbit holes where we can't interact with others. And so I love that.
Yeah. And I think too, like yeah, you're right. Like if I get in an elevator, I might even say something like about them being on their phone, like in a,
And a funny
funny.
joke.
Yeah. And then and it's funny because people will be like, "Well, how'd you meet Keisha?" And they're like, "We met her at Whole Foods. We met her in the elevator. We met her like but it is that book. It's like Never Eat Alone. So I genuinely am trying to find one person to connect with when I'm out and about, grocery store, shopping, traveling, like if someone on the plane, like I'm always trying to connect with people.
I love that.
I have a story about that real quick.
Yes.
The guy that owns Russell or, his name's Russell, but Rhino Lining, like, in the truck
Truckhead?
bed, and I was on the plane, and here I come with all my bags. I always have a lot of bags, and he's sitting up front, and I'm sitting next to him, and I'm, like, trying to, like, "Hi," like, engage with him, and you can tell he's not interested.
Got it.
"Just leave me alone. I'm on the plane, like, I'm not the person that's gonna talk to you." And somehow I got him to warm up to me. By the end of it, he's like, "Hey, here's my business card if you ever need a business mentor." So I ended up meeting up with him and he helped strategize my business plan. This was like 5, 6 years ago with my paleo company. And I'm like, just never eat alone. You never know who you're going to sit by. You never know what opportunity you're going to get. And even if they're not quite open, what are things you could do to get them to feel safe? It's all about safety where they will open up and they will talk to you and they will then give you your business card.
Love it. Okay, I'm gonna go look at that book. Like I'm downloading. It's my next Audible. Need to make sure I link that book for everyone in the show notes because that's
It's a good one.
so good.
Especially for people that are introverted or like just have a hard time to keep to themselves. In fact, the guy I was with last night, he's like, I could never do that. I was like, words have power. Yes, you can. And he's like, I need to be more like Keisha. I'm like, more people do, yes.
Yes, make the world more bright and sparkly and fun.
Yeah.
All right, what is your favorite hype song? Your go-to hype song?
Oh, I have a lot of them. Live Your Life. Who sings that one?
It's my husband when I need him. I know which one you're thinking talking about.
Yeah, I would say that one. I mean, I have so many. I have like a whole Spotify of all the hype songs.
You need to
And I
share the with
when
me.
I'm having a down day, I literally blast it in my home on all my Sonos. I'm like, "We're gonna put this on today."
Yes, and music can change your mood so quick. It's amazing what putting the hype list on can do.
Yeah, totally.
All right, final two questions before we wrap up. I don't want to keep you all day. We could just go on forever. I've loved this conversation.
Me too.
What is something that most people don't know about you?
I can draw cartoon characters.
That's fun. I
Yeah.
cannot. I have no artistic bone when it comes to pen and paper. I
Yeah.
love that. How fun. And then finally, beginning of this conversation, you mentioned a lot of people go through life with like a who am I? I'm mom, I'm wife, I'm business owner, but who really are they? And it sounds like you've done a lot of work on this. So can I ask, who is Keisha today?
Oh, she's fierce. She's fierce, she's empowered, she's ready to tackle 2026. I'm living in a new identity and I feel it. Like I said, I had to shed some things in my life that were holding me back and were an anchor to unleashing the power within me. And so I feel unleashed. I recently went to Tony Robbins' Unleash event and I just felt alive again. I felt me. I felt empowered. I felt free. I felt um, I'm back. She's back, and I'm becoming. I'm in this new like becoming era, and I just love everything about it. My confidence, my certainty, how I'm showing up for my health, how I'm showing up for my kids, how I'm showing up for my business. Like I truly feel aligned, and I feel like a boss babe.
I love it. Keisha, thank you so much for being here today. You are truly such a powerful example of what it looks like to lead with truth and to trust even the breaking points and to rise fully in alignment.
Yes. That's my word, alignment. There we go.
Such a good one. Like,
Yeah.
are you in alignment with every area of your life? Checks and
Yeah.
bounds. Here we go. Is that there?
Yep.
For the ladies listening, go follow Keisha on Instagram. I'm going to make sure we link that book in the show notes. Go check out her programs and keep your eyes open for something she has big up and coming. Can I tell them?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you could tell them. This is coming out. Yeah, it's coming out soon. So yes, of course.
Keisha is launching very soonly her new book. Does it have a title yet? Do we know?
We're working on it now.
So I'm really excited. You have to send it my way. We'll have to share it with the audience when it launches, because I know it's going to shift so many things for so many women. It's going to be so powerful.
Yeah, New York's best top seller, like the whole shebang. And it's something I've wanted since I was young. And so it's happening. It's happening. Even through all the tribulations, even through all the changes, I had to someone remind me about that yesterday. Like, you're writing a New York best top seller. What are you talking about? Like, so, there's waves of doubt, throughout your entrepreneur journey. If I can leave anything with you guys, is like, find your people. And when you have moments of that, like, it's okay. You're human. You should, but there's a way to get out of it. There's a way to get your snap out of it and say, well, yeah, I am still doing this. You might have like a season where you feel off or you feel like it's not where you want it to be. But you know what? That's exactly God's plan. And you need to stay in alignment with that and just trust the process.
Trust the process. Ladies, if this episode spoke to you, do me a favor, share it. Share it with a woman you know. Share it with a woman who's ready to live life unapologetically like Keisha does.
Yes, yes, yes.
I will see you next time.
Share because you care.
What was that one more time?
Share because you care.
Share because you care. I love it. Ladies, until next time, and remember, the world doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to be present. It needs you to remember that, as Keisha says, is learning. And ladies, you are winning and living lives unapologetically. Bye.
I'm showing up as the woman I was created to be. I don't have to be perfect. I just have to be real. One woman's courage gives another permission. I'm done waiting for someday. My time is now. I'm walking in faith, not fear. God's plan for me is bigger than my fear. No more hiding who I am. This is the real me, and I'm not apologizing for her.
Thank you for tuning in to the Unapologetic Podcast. If today's episode fired you up, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a new one. And hey, leave a quick review, or sharing this with a friend helps us reach more women who need this message. Until next time, keep rising, keep shining, and keep living unapologetically.